Hold on to your heart as hard as you can.
Alrighty. Hang in there.
Hold on to your heart as hard as you can.
I have to work on stuff here, so hang in there.
Again. Once again. You ever want to go away? I think we all sometimes do. Do you ever feel like you're astray? I can understand you. I can understand you. Now I see blue skies and diamonds as strange. And honey, I don't ever wanna feel this
way again. Hang in there, folks.
I might grab a freight train or an airplane flight. I might mail myself on.
Ann McWilliams starting it off for us here in the studio.
Do you ever want
to run away?
I think we all sometimes do. Do you ever feel like you're astray? I can understand you.
All right, let me cut the Penny back here. All right. What we have here is a. Oh boy, how you like that? It's backwards. Huh. I'll have to work on that. What we have here is a live stream that's being done on my laptop in the studio because my studio computer, moments before doing the show, had a major crash. Okay. I can't make this up, but I got to turn this up a little bit, the mic up a little bit, I think. I don't know how to do that. All right. Well, I hope you guys can hear me. I had a crash just before this, and get this, I'm backing up my system today. I had to run out and do errands. So I was backing up the system, moving everything over, getting ready to do a Drive C backup. Haven't done it in a year. Get ready to do a Drive C backup today. Come home. It's too late to do a backup. I'll start it after the show. Here we are. So now I had to go erase the show that I had planned because people were going to tune. They're probably trying to tune into it. It's not working. And I thought rather than just dumping it, how do I switch the camera around? This is kind of nutty. I'm watching everything backwards on here. I don't know how to do that. I've never done this before. No. I've never done this live deal before. I'm assuming it's working. I have no idea to check. I don't know. I can't even go on my other computer because I got, while it ran and I logged in, it doesn't have any of the passwords. It doesn't know who I am. It doesn't know where to go. All that stuff is gone. So I don't know. There's nobody in the chat at the moment. So I'd like it if somebody, if you tried to listen on, what's it called? Spreaker, it's on the other computer. And so it's all messed up as well. How do I? Let me try this. Okay. All right, so I can't even do that. So I'm going to talk here briefly. And it's working here. Okay, 5 by 5. No. Let me get to the point here, since this is going to be far from a great production. I am broadcasting on the radio station, TogiNet, who does it. And I'll take the audio and I'll put it up at Spreaker after the fact. But I had stuff planned to talk about. I was going to show more of it, but I'm just going to have to talk here because I don't want to get superstitious here, but, to me, what I was going to talk about is somewhat important. It's important to me anyway. And if it is important to me, I would like to share it. I'll try and trim this video when it gets up online so that, get all the beginning stuff when I was trying to figure stuff out. But I saw, and I'll put the links underneath for what I'm going to talk about briefly. I saw a video of David Seaman. It actually was sent to me, and I found it quite disturbing. Not for content. Like David Seaman, I admired and gave him a lot of credit because he came out early on the Pizzagate, took a big hit, big slack. He was a budding journalist, somewhat mainstream. Huffington Post, I guess that's mainstream. And he he saw the stuff about Pizzagate and for that. And he's been fighting for these things, calling it Pedigate now, I guess, to... So, I have respect for the man. Don't get me wrong, okay? So I followed him on his accounts before it got killed, before they erased him. And so I would, but he was into this Q-Annon stuff. Now, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, or a live horse, or however you want to look at it. But his video was quite disturbing. I admit I didn't watch all of it. I watched about 25 minutes of it when he basically was done at that point, but it was going to take questions. And you'll have to see the video to see what I'm saying, or maybe it's me. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay. But he almost seemed, one may say elated with joy, but it sounded to me like a delusional problem. Like, I don't know. Look, I don't want to read into it. Again, I like the guy. All right. So I'm not criticizing him personally. This Q stuff is getting completely crazy, getting all the way out of line. Now, according to Seaman's video, and I know Seaman does not speak for Q, but he's part of this whole cabal, right? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to use that word. This group of people. And he is saying that he broke champagne. And again, I'll put the links for the video. You can see it. He broke champagne. He's all excited. Sit back and relax. The work is done. We've been vindicated. Sit back and watch it work. I've seen the unsealed indictments, officials and all this stuff. Sit back and enjoy it. I'm done. My work's done here. It's been a good fight. Great. Thanks to all the people. We all did it. And, and I'm listening to this like in shock. Because first off, the way he's describing it's, and I don't want to make up stuff to explain what I'm feeling from it. All right, because I'm doing him disjustice, and I don't want to go into it, but it's basically it's almost like a collapse of a belief, or you realize something's wrong, or what you're saying isn't happening, or whatever, but then you're going to go on anyway. So you're going to push on in a delusion. I don't know, and believe me, I don't mean to apologize 800 times here, but so you have to see his video in conjunction with what I'm talking about here to see. But I want to go on about that. Is that in his video, and again, he's not speaking for Q, and I wrote this on Facebook. In fact, I wonder if I could read the Facebook thing, if that wouldn't be too bad, because I could maybe I could just gloss over it as a guide to what I'm saying here, because I do want to do this cautiously. The stuff that he is talking about, they're rounding up the bad guys and doing all this stuff. I am so on with that. I would love that. I would weep with joy. It'd be the happiest day of my life. It'd be the greatest thing that ever happened. That's how much I want these people, the bad guys, the pedophiles, the criminal, corrupt government officials, all round up, like they're saying. That's what I want it to be so bad. All right, so this is why this upsets me, because you have the QAnon stuff tapping in to that desire, that righteous faith desire. I want the bad guys to hit. I want right to win. And it also taps into the people who are believing in goodness, believing in the good guys winning in the end, believing in these things. You're tapping into that, and people log into this, and they're tied to it emotionally now. Now it's like, you'll see, we'll be vindicated. My faith wouldn't be in vain. You'll see when it happens. And then I'll be, and it's like, I'm like, whoa. We've done this together. We've won this battle. We deserve this moment. And I'm thinking, like, wait a minute. If this is going to happen, it's because of the men and women working in law enforcement in the deep state, who are the, quote, white hats, the good guys, fighting against the bad guys, working to get this done. We did it in the sense that we who voted for Trump put him in office. He's committed to doing this stuff. He's setting it in motion. He's been backed up by military elements and other elements in the military. So, yeah, we, in a sense, went out and voted and got him in. That's it. Support to him. He's getting no support from the Congress, very little. He's getting support by individuals who are in there, who are standing up for people who are actually doing it. And if we want to take credit for voting him in office, fine. If we want to take credit because we follow QAnon and we've been sticking to our belief and sticking it to how we stood through. They criticized us. They oppressed us. They even killed family members or friends, and they did. And we held true to this faith, and now we're vindicated. I'm just freaking out when I'm hearing this stuff, because it's got, it's like if we cheered enough for the team. I'm sitting at home watching TV, cheering for the Bears, and they won, like I had anything to do with it. I didn't buy tickets. I'm watching on public television or whatever. I haven't done anything. I haven't coached. I haven't contributed to the running of the team, and yet I'm taking some kind of credit for it. Yeah, we won. Finally, we won. This is the kind of thing that's going on here, and it's freaking me out, because what is you're building is looking at the team, the football team or whatever, as an example. You build up this spirit of support and you get this, and then you let down. And this is what is waiting if something happens. This is the part that bothers me. It's like, hey, I want this to happen. Maybe it can't. Look. I don't even like saying look, because a lot of talk show guys go look. So I'm saying things like look. I'm saying things like you can't make this stuff up, and I can't stand those phrases. So I apologize. Okay, this is not funny. And part of my laughter and smiling is that total, utter frustration and upsetness on this whole thing. All right. So there's two facts in this QAnon / whatever world. There's two facts. Two. if you want to count them. One, Donald Trump did sign an executive order going after human trafficking, pedophilia, etc. Right? That's true. He also made, what was it, February, the month of going after this stuff. Right? So that's a fact. That's a reality. Other presidents haven't done that. He's claimed to want to do it. He's doing it. There's been a lot of arrests, higher than normal this year. You can attribute it to that. That's fine. If you want to count that as fact two, fine. I still put that under fact one. I put that under the Trump fact. The second fact is that, and I have not corroborated this, and I know I asked people to send me. It's not like there's a million people watching me, but I asked people to send me some way, link, means, so I can, with my eyes, see these unsealed indictments listed. I see screenshots. I'm accepting it, okay? But that's the second fact in this whole thing, is that there's these many unsealed indictments, which apparently are way over normal. Okay, so if I were in the Clinton crime cabal and I'm involved in all this stuff and I see all these unsealed indictments, I would be kind of interested. So there has to be some plausible denial on that as well. And it's very possible that those are a big crackdown on pedophilia, which is a great thing. Great thing. Happy for that. Amen. And it could be a crackdown on the infrastructure on the ground. But it doesn't mean it's a crackdown on the high-level people. It doesn't mean doesn't mean Hillary and those people are going to be arrested, even though it's been said they were and all that. There's no facts for that. There is the sealed indictments, and I'll accept them as being real, though I still wish to this moment I could get a link to see this. And I'll accept that there is the Trump has come out, not only said it, he's put down in writing, he's out for the pedophilia stuff. And what we're also seeing is, you're seeing, even though all mass media is not talking about it, you have the Congress is going forward in investigating into the FBI, Department of Justice. That's going for it's constantly going forward, like the turtle going forward. That's good. Those are good things. But Mueller being part of some kind of a team working with Trump, nothing to indicate that. Also, that Trump said he's not being listed as a he's not the criminal investigation. He's just interest or a subject. I forgot how it was said. It does not say he's not off the hook, because when you talk to the FBI officially and you say something that's not true, you're guilty of a crime and you can go to prison. That's what they're going after Manafort on. So Trump goes to talk to his buddy, and he answers something with an incorrect information, and they can prove him that he have him saying it before and all that. He could charge him with lying to the FBI. Now, you can't charge a sitting president, so of course he'll be impeached, then charged, and then charges will fail, but he's out. See, there's so many scenarios I can come up with that are so reasonable, that are standing right in front of us. And yet we're hearing from the anonymous sources, well, it's almost done, it's going to happen, it's over, it's coming, it's this and that. And it's driving me nuts. And when I saw the David Seaman video, for those joining in late, I don't know, you're supposed to be able to go back to the beginning. And if you can, go ahead, okay? Because I said a bunch of stuff already. But going back to the David Seaman video, I'll put a link on the bottom here. If you go to my Facebook page, it's already linked, and there's already a little talk like I'm doing now on this. It's done. He's popping champagne. He's sitting back, and he's popping champagne and loving it. And he's got this thrill in him. To me, that sounds like a delusional breakdown on the edge. And rather than going along with it, it's like it's forcing it forward. And he said he saw the unsealed videos, but he can't say. He can't show us. There's another person saying, well, I've seen this stuff, but I can't tell you right now. Why can't you tell me right now? Well, it'll ruin things. Well, then why are you telling me this? Do you think that they're not listening to that? I'm getting all animated. I'm sorry about things being backwards. The camera is flipped for some reason. I don't know how to do it now. In fact, again, reiterating, my computer crashed, which God knows, I don't know how long it's going to be that I can fix this. All the software seems to be intact. It seems like it's okay. I haven't tested anything except all my personalizations are gone. So I couldn't set the show up and everything like that and do it. So I had to do it real quick from the laptop here. That's why it's going on. It's not backward for you? Oh, it's backward for me. So, well, that's good then. Good. That's what matters. You've seen it. I don't care. So this is why I'm animated. This is why I'm upset. It's like and this has been going on. This is going on with Planet X people. God bless them, right? We're seeing a resurgence of the flat Earth. This goes back to David Booth and Sorcerer Fall and the Enterprise Project. What's his name? He's still around too. The guy from Albert Bell was on all the time. I can't think of his name now. These guys come up with these things, and they're titillating. They tickle, and people. Oh yeah, that's cool. And I was one of them, right? And it's because I looked at this stuff with my own eyes and my logical, critical thinking over time. Going, wait a minute. Every time they get to the face on Mars guy, they get to the face on Mars. It looked like a face on Mars. Okay, I'm game. He says, NASA, I want you to take it from this angle at this time of the day, at this time of the year, so you can see it the best. And NASA actually does it. He's on Art Bell. Richard Hoagland, thank you, Evo. He's on Art Bell. I'm driving the truck listening to this going, yeah, we got the angle today. We're going to look at it. I'm all excited. And Art Bell gets, I'll tell you, Richard, it doesn't really look like a face. And then he defends it. So I get home and I see the picture and it looks like a mountain. No face. It's because it was far away, the resolution, the shading, and all that stuff. So I'm disappointed, but this is the same kind of thing. And I read the stuff that's being posted, and believe me, I don't follow it a lot, but it comes up in my feed, and I'm seeing these questions. Did you ever think about this? Well, how about looking here? Why do you think this happened? Huh? Like we're a bunch of morons, and this person who's on the inside has all the information, and you should figure it out. So I'm going to say this stuff to you, and just tweak you along, worse than all of the people I just mentioned. And then David Seaman is a good guy. He's got a good heart. He's against pedophilia, which is it's the worst thing on this planet. Wiping out genocide, to me, is less an abomination than pedophilia, trafficking of children, such children, eating them and drinking their blood and all this stuff that's going on. To me, that's the worst thing possible you could do. Right? So, and I was watching, who was I watching? Oh, it was Stefan Molyneux was talking about something else, and he said something unrelated, but it fits. If you look, you have to limit your look into horror, because if you look in the abyss, it looks back and it'll pull you in. And the people who have been doing this stuff, who has been going along doing this stuff, it gets to you. I remember watching a movie. I mean, I know it's a movie, but it was kind of a recreation of Zodiac Killer. And this one, I think it was a reporter. I don't think it was a detective, but it was a reporter. It was by Downey Jr. who played the role. He followed this guy so obsessively. He got alcoholic, lost his wife, his job, because he was obsessed with finding this evil thing, right? And this stuff is consuming people, and people are, our hope is so tied into this now. They're tied in, and now if you criticize a Q statement, oh well, I was called a liberal, and by a guy who does talk show host, because I criticize Q, and I'm like, you want it? It's funny. My liberal friends don't agree with this, even though I don't consider myself a liberal conservative. But they couldn't conceive of me supporting Trump even and not liking Q. And I'm like, wow, what is Q now? The thing we have to swear allegiance to in order to be a Trump? You see what it's doing? And so, like, I'm not saying it's a black op. I'm not saying it's his plan to do it. I mean, the spirit behind it the spirit using this to do harm, the spirit of evil in the world, could be stoking it or whatever. But it might be a person who just wants to get, for those who've been doing this for a long time, internet and stuff. You have Surfing the Apocalypse. If people are familiar with that board, what was the other one? Rumor Mill News, and the worst of which I thought is Godlike Productions, and they're all still around, I think. Anyway, I checked in with them a while ago, and yeah, they're still there. In fact, some of these posts from Godlike Productions are still there. I mean, way back in the day, people would get together and talk about my show I was doing in Godlike Productions, like in a post. And this is how it's been. They come up with stuff. And a lot of it to Alex Jones. They come up with stuff, and it's hot, titillating, gets people going. They come to the board. They click on links. There's commercials or whatever. Clickbait, they call it now with these websites. And it hits this stuff. And, well, so anyway, let me go back to my post. Make sure I'm covering stuff here. Love it be true. Here's what I said. It appears to me, it feels to me, delusion. It was delusion clashing with reality, and through the reality, and though reality doesn't mesh with the delusion is creating its own reality rather than facing reality. That's what happens when reality will win in the material world, the physical world. We're bound by reality, and so you jump off a building. The reality is you're going to fall unless you have physical or spiritual means, if it's possible, like levitation. You have to offset the reality with something. You can't just deny its existence, right? It's been proven so many times. It's beyond. I don't want to go into it. So when reality comes up against an illusion or a delusion, I define illusion by somebody leading you astray, and a delusion by yourself leading astray. And of course, they overlap. So when someone leads you astray and you follow along, and then you start to fill in the blanks to keep that rolling, that illusion becomes a delusion. So when it happens, you got to make am I wrong? A great example was astronomer Kepler. He thought that the planets moved according to heavenly geometrics. And the better data he got, it fit roughly, right? And the better data he got from people who were observing and controlling it, his assertions became less realistic. And at some point, he had to abandon them. That's somebody who had a theory or a belief or what have you, and then when the evidence of reality comes in, they abandon what they were, they modify it to it. That's how it's supposed to go. And when someone chooses to continue on in the delusion and creating a reality, their own reality, rather than facing it, that's when you leave that plane. It's like stepping off, and now you're off into non-reality, which is a very dangerous position to be in, because when reality asserts itself, and it will, you fall. You have nothing underneath you. The video speaker claims Storm has won. The indications are unsealed. The indictments are unsealed. Within days, the Cabal will be round up. The war is over, quote unquote. The believers, quote unquote, will be vindicated. I kind of went through that. Believing in this has nothing to do with the reality of it happening. What does have the reality of it happening is people working in law enforcement and inside and all that, going out and doing this stuff. That's the reality. Your belief in it's irrelevant. Again, by electing the president who is catalyzing this is we can take credit for that if you would like. Believing in it is irrelevant. Talking about it on Facebook or YouTube is irrelevant. All this stuff, helping people to see that this storm is coming, is irrelevant. It doesn't help the storm come any faster, right? So you can see by using terms like "we did it," "we're vindicated," "the suffering we did is worth it," is all someone's ego attachment to it. It's very dangerous. It's alarming to have it. I want it to happen. I want it badly. I would rather see the world destroyed, innocent and guilty people together, rather than have this world continue on into a complete and utter slave planet. It's already that to mostly a degree. But I mean, have the whole final thing. I'd rather have it destroyed. I would gladly perish in those flames for the benefit of not having it continue. All right, so don't get me wrong. He opened the champagne, drinking, supporting it, how we could sit back and relax now. The war is over. My job is done. I'm going to watch it all happen. It's like watching the fireworks. The fuse has been set, and now the fireworks are happening. And there's no corroborating evidence in the real world, and I mentioned about the evidence. But the evidence given is, again, whether it be Q-Annon, whether it be David Seaman or other people. Well, I've talked to generals' sons. I've talked to people in the know, and they've told me. And, I can tell you stuff now, but I can't tell you now because I'm not supposed to and all that. And I hate that. It's like, don't tell me. I'm sorry. I'm upset. I'm sorry. I'm upset. Okay. It's full of an ego rant based on the work we did, blah, 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 blah. Believe, any work done is by law enforcement against the Cabal, and their minions. Belief is irrelevant. It's like believing your team to win. Now, I know all about quantum mechanics and the idea of influencing the outcome and stuff. I got that. And if you had, a critical mass on the planet, all in harmony, putting forth a desire, shifting reality, it's all possible. I got that. But the number of people following Q, I think are far from a critical mass, especially when you have gazillions around the planet who aren't, I don't know what that was. Your phone, I think. If this is true, stated in the video, then in a matter of weeks to a week or two, it all will be public. I'm going to give this is my statement of doing here today. I'm going to give this until May 1st. Call it May Day. That's fitting, right? May Day. That's the big communist thing, right? May Day. By May Day, this stuff should be bubbling over in the public. Even CNN and whoever can't hide it. It's going to be bubbling open everywhere, right? If this is the way he's talking about, sit back and relax. It's going to be. So by May Day, by May 1st, there should be obvious stuff going on. I know you guys are talking in the chat room, but I was on the other screen doing this, so I'm not ignoring. Well, I guess I am ignoring you, but you understand. Okay, so I'm making a statement here, and I'm nobody, right? So the statement's between me, you, and you listening, watching, is that after May 1st, and there's nothing happening, obviously. I don't mean like, well, you see, there was a story that Obama's camp in Thailand was impounded, or the Marines landed in New Jersey, which they tend to do in the base. I don't want to see like, oh my God, we can't explain this. There's Hillary Clinton being led away or whatever. I'm talking about real stuff. Even if like a Hillary Clinton comes later than that, there's going to be like, John Podesta or people, something. Give me something. If you're going to say this stuff, right? So as of May 1st, I'm telling you, nothing happens. And people still believe in this stuff. I'm done. I'm not going to waste my time like this anymore. I'm not going to get upset by it. I'm not going to read it anymore. And if it does happen, say in 2 months, I'm still going to be happy about it, right? No one's going to be vindicated. No one's going to be like, hey, we worked hard at this. Hey, talking on the internet. So people still could get oppressed by that. I mean, I don't know. Things have happened to me. Maybe it was related, maybe not. And some people have, had friends murdered or questionably died. And, we can go talk about people like Seth Rich, for example. Maybe he just did get shot in the back, but probably, it was a murder. To me, it's probably a murder and all that. But I've had it with the mind games, with hope for the criminals to be stopped and plans for evil to be thwarted. It's sick to me. Belief in this is not an excuse or a reason either. Just because you believe it to be true does not make it true. It doesn't mean it's okay, because you are fostering and helping people get more emotionally attached and deeper drawn in and be set up for absolute utter failure. Because if I had to write down scenario, what I think is going to happen based on what I see, and I'm not talking about what CNN's talking about. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about just what's really happening. Is they want Trump, they want him out so bad that they will do anything. And Mueller's job is to find something that they could put their hand on. Something. Let it be lying to the feds. We love it. Then the Republican neocons and the Democrat, the liberals, the neo Bolsheviks and the neocons. All right, they can get together and impeach him, convict him. He goes to prison where they will stick his face in poo-poo for the rest of his life that he dared stand up against that. This is the goal. Now, hopefully it won't happen. And there are people standing up, thank goodness, in government and bringing out stuff. There's all kinds of evidence coming out against the FBI, CIA, the people in there who are doing these things. There's a lot of evidence on it. And it's coming out and it's getting light a day, even though it's getting no help from the media at all, the mainstream media. And you got other media, other alternative medias tied in with this QAnon stuff and full of hyperbole while they sell their products. I understand there's nothing wrong running a for-profit news or even a church or religion. I got that. But there is a problem when that bottom line becomes more important. And no bottom line, no radio show, no talking, no helping the public, no saving souls, no red pilling people without having the show. So you gotta work with that. And what sells good? Well, there's a lot of people watching. I go along with Zeph Daniels, the guy I listen to, who's does a podcast. Been doing it for many years. He went back and found Alex Jones' video, which said Alex Jones said that QAnon has been confirmed by Pentagon sources, several of them, and that it's what they would like to see. Now, I'm not saying Alex Jones is the person, like the arbiter, but that is a reasonable interpretation. Zeph did the work, found the video clip, brought it up. That is more reasonable, right? But the way QAnon is talking, he's talking in firsthand. As soon as something comes even remotely close, see, he was right about that. And I'm done with it. May 1st, QAnon is anathema to me. And I will not tolerate it. I won't look at it. Anybody who's on my feed who's going to start pushing stuff, I just silence them. I like the people. I got nothing against the people, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to sit and read emails and posts and feeds on this stuff because it's malarkey. It's like Planet X. Same kind of deal. I was open to Planet X, right? Like everything. Let me go back here. I'm missing the chat, so I'm sorry about that. But Ben Fulford's another guy. Thank you. Ben Fulford, I liked him. I followed him. He was the first guy that actually had credentials. He did Forbes. He's in China doing Japan doing Forbes magazine. The guy knows several languages, right? I mean, he's really in. He started talking about this Red Dragon stuff, taking people out. I'm interested, because I'm thinking, hey, here we are, years later. Years have passed. David Wilcox is another guy. With the 2012 thing, how we're going to go through a membrane. I went into the law of one. I followed his stuff. I went through it. 2012 comes. Here we are, 2018. And, of course, it's redefined. Well, it really meant this, and it really meant that. And, Corsi, who did great work on Obama's birth certificate, Corsi proved, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that but Obama's birth certificate is a forgery. Shadow of a doubt, by using techniques to prove. If they found the actual birth certificate that they cut and pasted pictures of, and they took it so that it posted in, and the space between the handwritten stuff was absolutely to the right there, the same distance and height. The writing's exactly the same. Every curve is perfect. He proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that they took this birth certificate and they lifted off the information and put it on there, right? He's going down the QAnon deal. So here, it's when you get old. When you're older, and like I've been around now for a while. I started doing this show 16 years ago, but I listened to Art Bell forever, early 90s. I've been through all of this stuff, and I've come to the conclusion a while ago, but I keep finding these people that these guys are all trying to make a buck or just doing it for fame. Al Bielek. I'm listening to Al Bielek's story that he was on the Philadelphia experiment, right? And then I find out that, well, actually, he would have been too old for Al Bielek's body. Is too young for the guy who would have been there. But his consciousness was transplanted in this new person's body, and that's what he's saying. I'm like, what? No one kind of mentioned that for a long time. So that's out, right? So I hear this stuff, Montauk, yeah, that's where he was at. So I hear this stuff, and I'm like, I've got to the point now, and now we're talking about, when you talk about Hoagland and Mars and Enterprise, Philadelphia experiment, you talk about all this stuff, this is all. Doesn't matter, right? This is fantasy, games, whatever. When they come up with the Surfing the Apocalypse, and they talk about finding some kind of giant skull or something and all that, it's interesting, and maybe it's true, maybe it isn't, but we're talking about the death of the United States and its people into a world-dominated slavery. China all over the world, and then worse. I mean, this is what we're talking about here. The stakes are no longer like whether or not they're Anunnaki or not, or whether or not Planet X is real. Of course, if Planet X was real, it was going to cause havoc. That would be severe. But here we are, 2018, and I did a show with Nancy Leader in 2004 after it didn't show up. All right, so 2004, 2018, still no Planet X, still no proof. You got people putting up pictures where you have the real bright light coming in and doing lens flares, and it's like, no, that's really Planet X. Well, on the same day, it's in a different position, on an opposite position on a different part of the Earth. You can't do that. If you had a little bit of geometry in your head, you'd know you can't. Well, wait a minute. It's a big body. It's far away. That's going to stay there. It's like when you drive. You don't drive for a few miles, and then the sun's over here somewhere. All right, so I'm not embarrassed. I'm upset, or I'm not trying to apologize for it. It's just too freaking important. Trump got elected was amazing. It blew the absolute minds of the elites that enough people stood up in this country to override all the billions of dollars that were spent, all of the publicity, the baloney, the sliming, the taking Trump's past of actually helping minorities and women and all this, and completely lie and turn it around. It did all that sliming for month after month after month, billions of dollars. The media came out of the closet, so to speak, and was blatantly supporting one side or the other, and lying about it, perpetuating lies, and not reporting truths, which is lying. And then what happens is all the polls are having a 90% chance, 95% chance of her winning. The polls are this, and he wins because so many people voted that all the lies, all the illegal alien or the multiple voting, dead people voting, all of that stuff throughout the whole United States was not enough to stop the wave of people who got up out of their chair, who haven't voted in 8 to 10, 3 elections. They haven't. The people, they got out and went out and voted, and they were blown away. And because they didn't own Trump, he wasn't part of the club. They don't have the stuff on him. It's obvious. They don't have him. It would be out. Wouldn't it have been out? It would have been out in the election. This is the best they can come up with. So here we are with a chance, and we can't do anything. We can write our Congress people, and of course, being a representative republic, they can do whatever they want until the next election. We have to vote. This is just like, I'm not a big advocate of, well, you have to vote, it's your civic duty. I'm saying, look, do you care about what's going on this planet? We have one thing we can do. One thing we can do. Only one thing. You can write to your congressman, you can protest in the streets, you can write Facebook posts, all you want. All of it's irrelevant. The one absolute thing you can do is go in and vote. And even if you got not great choices, you can vote the other person out. Just voting them out, even though the person coming in isn't great either, just voting them out lets them know, like, whoa, these guys are coming in here with swords, and they're cutting loose the chain, the tie we have, and showing up and voting out. And the one thing we need to have is a voter ID. Now, I'm not a big, kind of libertarian constitutional guy. I'm like, hey, I don't want to have IDs. I don't want walls. Walls go two ways, right? The wall can be built to keep people out, and then when it turns into a complete slave country, now it keeps people in, right? So it's a double-edged sword, walls are. I like the idea about the wall, what it's standing for, but putting troops in a border, two-way street, right? Except the only thing I got is that the people in the military are human beings and Americans. Whatever their color, whatever their creed, whatever their religion or no religion, if they're American, that's all that matters, because that ideal of America, constitutionally, well, there. But by having a voter ID, you got the face, you got the name, and when you apply for the ID, you have to. Now, I don't have it with me. I wasn't really planning on it. I had to go get my license in Illinois, and I drive a truck for a living, so I need to have the CDL. In order to get that, you have to have forms of identification. Well, one of them is your current valid license. You need two. The second one, every one I checked on the list, all of those, in showing that, like I can show my birth certificate. That's one of my birth certificate, right? I'm American. You can use a passport. When you bring your go for passport, you got to show your birth certificate, right? So in Illinois, getting a driver's license, you have to show something that shows where you were born, either de facto, like a passport. But when you go to vote, they want you to give your license. It's easy because they could scan the little thing on the back, a barcode on the back, but it's not required. You don't have to have a driver's license to vote, even though they give you IDs in Illinois. That's like a driver's license. Same kind of deal, except you don't drive a car. So it's almost there in Illinois. But in Chicago, you can get a ID being a non-citizen. They don't ask for a citizenship. You can get an ID, and that can be used when you go to vote. So, yeah, you're proving who you are, so you're not double voting, but you're still not supposed to vote the first time. So if they had a national ID with voting, everybody had to have it free. Pay for it with tax money. For crying out loud, the one thing that you can pay for, tax money, you'd be a voter ID. Pay for it and use it only to vote. Make a law that's like, this is only to vote. If you want to use it as an ID, if somebody else will take it as a picture ID, fine. But the point is you vote. And you can even have it done for federal elections only. If you want to vote for local stuff, if they want to use it, fine. But I'll even accept it only for federal elections. And I would include senators and congressmen because they're in Congress, which is federal, even though state voting for it. If you're going to be in a federal position by election, you have to have the federal ID. You do that, and all of the fake voting goes away like that. Now, who in their right mind wouldn't want to have that? Well, the people counting on fake voting. So when you talk to leftist types, right, they will say, well, you're going to discourage voting. Really? Do you discourage people from having driver's license? Somebody has to go get a driver's license to drive a car. Are they discouraged? Well, I would drive a car, but I have to go get a license, and I can't afford it, so I'm not going to get it. And the voter card is free. Okay, so money's not an issue. They go And they said, well, it's going to discourage voting. It'll depress voting. How? It'll depress fake voting, which is where a lot of it comes from. If somebody wrote something on somewhere, if the leftists can't get you to vote for them, they'll bring someone in who can, which I thought was pretty funny. Now, I'm going astray from my point. I got to get up early tomorrow, and I'm going to be gone overnight. I'm not real thrilled about that, but I want to go through this. I did. The preachers have been talking about Jesus returning how many years? They were looking for Jesus after he left. They were like, okay, he's going to come back any minute now, right? And preachers throughout the centuries have come up with, well, he's going to be here this time and that time. And, latest one was Harold Camping. What was it? He did it in 1985. And when it didn't happen, I thought he disappeared. But here he was, 2012. He's still alive, first off. He was old then. And then, well, I made a mistake because there was year 0, year 1, so 2013. Of course, it didn't happen. He ends up having a stroke and dying. So there's people saying this all along, and then they just keep on going. I mean, I would think after Harold Camping produced 2 books, talked about it for years in 1985, the next day, no one would be talking to him. It would be done. Keeps going. The Jehovah's Witness Church started on the guy. Taz Russell was involved with the Adventists. They were talking about Jesus coming. And when he didn't come, I was like, well, he came in spirit. Come on. One of the things in the Bible it talks about, and I'm not a Bible thumper, right? There's a lot of great stuff in the Bible, though. And when it applies, I use it, right? If a prophet says something and it doesn't happen, you do not fear them. And the word fear, for the most part, means respect, right? If someone says it's going to rain today, and they're pretty good at predicting the weather, you're going to respect what they say, and you're going to change your plans. That's the point. So I'm saying again, if people are just tuned in or whatever, I mean, go back and listen to the other part if you want. It's longer than I wanted to do, but according to this David Seaman video, which I will link at the bottom, it's already on my Facebook page and the post that goes along with this talk. I mean, it's not linked to the talk, but I mean, it inspired the talk. According to David Seaman, he saw the unsealed things. It's happening. Sit back, relax. We're done. It's over. Sit back and enjoy the show. So within days, I'm going to extend it to weeks. I'm going to extend it to May 1st. If it's not blatantly obvious by May 1st, we're going to zip the whole Q-Annon thing. I'm going to just not deal with it anymore. I'm going to ignore it, and I'm going to ignore those who are putting it in my face. I want it to happen as much as anybody else. All right, I want the bad guys caught, but it's become sick after seeing David Seaman when he it's got to him. I think it's sick. It's now beyond a joke, beyond having fun, beyond playing a trick, beyond even scamming people for money or keeping fame around. It's now got into real world sickness, and I'm done. So again, the reason why I'm doing this is because my whole system crashed just before I went on the air, and after the show I was going to back up the system. So Harrison Ford just showed up though. I go, so what's going on? I go, well, you have to watch it again. You can excuse the first few minutes while I was setting stuff up, but that's the deal. May 1st, you don't see obvious, blatant, upward, not some kind of like, wow, what this really meant was what happened. It's behind the scenes, and it's Hillary's wearing a brace, and she's got boots on. You can't see. I can't deal with this anymore. Can't deal with this garbage. It's baloney. It's offensive. It's sick. And my mind is committed to reality, and I'm open to what reality may be. But reality will tether itself in something. Pen. It writes. It's a pen. All right. That's what has to be. There's got to be physical reality has to back up the stuff. Otherwise, you might as well read Mary Poppins. It's fantasy. But now fantasy and reality is becoming blended, and it's sick. It's getting sick, and it's probably the goal is to get people all tethered off, and then all of a sudden Trump ends up getting arrested or something like this, and everybody goes, "Well, wait a minute, but Q said," and I'm just not going down that road. So, if you want to know when I'll be talking again or whatever, if you're interested, you can subscribe and all that stuff, and hit the little bell, and you know the whole deal. I mean, everyone else has said this 100 times, so that's the best way to do it. Because right now, for example, if you'd have done that, you would have got a notice that this particular way is going on, because my plan one doesn't work, and if people are trying to tune in there, it's not happening. So I went and tried to erase them all and do it, so it would be here. But so that's the green thing behind it. That's usually my little city and all that. So here's the real deal. So thanks for checking in. God bless you all. And May 1st, May Day. That's the hashtag I want to use. And again, you want to join us, May Day. Something is going to die. It's either going to be the Cabals is going to come crashing down at some point, as we're being told, and there is minor evidence for, and there's slow evidence, but it's happening in the FBI CIA investigation. But as far as the QAnon stuff, QAnon's mythology is going to die, or we're going to see the Cabal. No. Don't let them get on your skin. Take care. Don't let them get on your skin. They use false flags to gather us up in the studies. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I guess because what's happening here is that I could be more detached on this, is that this has been going on all my life. If I can pick my thing in life, it's pointing out BS. And this is why I like Socrates, right? And what happened to Socrates? He's pointing out all the flaws and all this stuff, and he gets them all pissed off, and they end up convicting him of heresy and sentencing him to die, which is by him drinking poison. And then he follows the law and drinks the poison, and he was innocent. This is Jesus brings out truth. It's the two people I got on my homepage. Jesus talks about the faults, not in Rome. Rome was more honest in what they were. It was the Pharisees, the church of the time. So he points out the flaws in that. He's dead. He was crucified. And because of his living to the death, I see that, I get upset. Because his teachings we can live, and he lived to death, and his life is the best example of how to be, and that's what I do. But so I think I'll end it now. Thanks for coming by. I'll see you next week. I'll have the other system going if I can figure out what the hell's wrong with it. It's all there. I think I have to just simply go in and put my touches back into it, and I can live with that if that's what it is. But so take care and God bless. May 1st is the judgment day for all of this QAnon crap, as far as I'm concerned. If it happens, I will be fantastically happy. Believe me. I'm not a naysayer on this. I want it to be. So, alrighty. We'll see you. Take care.